What is up? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show. Wait, this isn't Shred Show. This is Rise&Shred. Ladies and gentlemen, wait a minute. That's Monday morning. That's how crazy it is. We've got so much we're working on this morning. There's so much big news. Oh, see, I don't drink coffee. That's why Jacob's giving me a hard time. He's like, you got to drink your coffee, Josh. You got to be on your game. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rise and shred? We're talking about big stories. Why California is California closing, Jacob? This is a whole discussion. HUD's foreclosure flood in many ways, and Microsoft mixed messages. You think Microsoft is mixing messages? There's no way. They're always very clear on all their messaging. Oh, that's just big. That's big companies, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much we're going to get into, and you're not going to want to get into it because you can see that, Jacob, we didn't even have time to shave. That's how busy we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for you, and you're not going to want to miss it. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to rise and shred. Gentlemen, get no mixed signals, get no mixed messages. This is Rise and Shred. This is not the Shred Show, and I'm hanging out with the one, the only, the dapper, as always, Mr. Jacob Gaffney, coming in hot. Ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to talk about. We have so much, like I said, California is closing. Are people, they're moving. They're just, you know what? Forget California. We're going somewhere else. We're going elsewhere. Bigger and better opportunity. Back in the late 1800s, they were all going. It was the gold rush. But now, it's the rush. They're getting out of there. Jacob, they're saying, see you later, bye. We're going to get into that. Before we do, Jacob, how was your weekend?
It was great. It was great. I thought a lot about this study that was in the Rise and Shred, this morning's Rise and Shred, that is really kind of a good illustration of the great migration of the American workforce and how government have led to failures, how businesses have moved headquarters, how businesses are reacting to government further failures. So it's been pretty interesting, and here's the thing. And one thing we don't talk about enough, Josh, is how all of this does impact real estate. It impacts mortgages. It impacts home values. It is not, unfortunately, nothing that we report is on a long enough timeline for it to be completely obvious, but we try to put all the information out there and let you know that the Rise and Shred Show is about real estate. It is about mortgages. It's about mortgage money, your business, and what large corporations such as Microsoft that provide you with tools such as Teams to do your work, how they're mixing up their messages and saying this or that and another thing. So we're keeping an eye on them, Josh. We keep an independent media eye on the things that impact us, whether you know it or not. We're still doing it.
An independent media. I like that. Ooh, I like that one. That's getting deep here. So let's kind of talk about, as we're talking about this, I mean, there is a lot going on. I love that you mentioned this, and I want this to kind of set in for a second. I want you to kind of think about what Jacob just said. What we are giving you, you may be like, well, how does this actually affect real estate? How does this affect mortgage? All of these things do. There's a granular levels that all of this, everything that we provide in Rise and Shred, you got to remember, Jacob and I, our backgrounds, we have extensive backgrounds, but as of late, and for the last few years especially, we've been focused in the mortgage industry. We are here in the mortgage and real estate industries. We understand Jacob and our team, Jacob is so involved with his wealth of knowledge and with his wealth of contacts and influence and conversations that he has. This is all about our industry. That's why we share the stories that we do. That being said, is California closing, Jacob?
It is. It is closing. It's been closing for a while. It has struggled to keep businesses intact and within its little borders. It's almost like a sovereign nation, California. If you don't live there, you kind of can't, you can't figure it out. If you do live there, you understand that people can't figure you out, but you get it. And it was really hard to wrap this into a single Rise and Shred. So everyone, they do need to take a look at this Hoover report. It is really damning to the state's activities. California has been locked in a decades-long struggle to not keep business. It's almost as if the powers that be want businesses to leave. What's really interesting, though, Josh, is that Texas has been the largest beneficiary of the flood out of California. Now, here in Texas, where I am, we go to great lengths to talk about how we are responsible for how great we are. That is total BS. We are the beneficiaries of the exodus from California's missteps. It's nothing Texas is doing to gain the business other than its groundwork for, good small and large businesses. But as we'll talk about in a little bit, what Texas is doing today is the same thing that led to the damage California is feeling now that started years ago. And it's already starting. But here it is. In these days, the way people are moving and the way the pandemic has changed is that things happen a lot faster. And we talk about that on Rise&Shred all the time. Things happen a lot faster. If you don't know what's going on, you will not even feel the breeze. When the news passes you, you will be affected and you won't know why. So what we have is not just, and why this Hoover report is so interesting is, yes, we all know businesses have left, headquarters have left California. They're all gone to Texas. A lot have gone to Florida. Very few have gone to Utah, which is a shame, Josh. I'm sorry that that this report talks about how great Utah is for businesses, but unfortunately, you're just not luring the headquarters in like Texas is. But we're screwing up too, because we even have the Salesforce CEO who objects to a current public policy at Texas that was recently started, and they're saying, "Hey, if you want to move out of Texas because you don't like its policies, we'll move you." We'll put you remote. We'll pay for your costs. We'll do all that. And this is Salesforce.
That's crazy.
This is a huge player in the mortgage business.
I would say they're giant. They're giant.
They're giant. And it's actually, if you dig deeper into it, it's twofold. When you look deeper into that report, you see that California has done little to help homeowners. And it's a 1-2 punch, Josh. Like, California has, according to this report, has more than $100 billion surplus of funds, and they refuse to release it to homeowners. They'll give them a little bit here, a little bit there, but instead they could give them a year of stimulus into households. They aren't doing it. They're doing it. And in fact, what's worse is this report indicates that the politicians of California are smug, they're glib, and there are all these other words that you need a dictionary to look up what they mean. But they have absolutely zero sympathy for businesses and for homeowners. It's almost as if they are an elite cabal of oligarchs that just aren't concerned with improving the home ownership in the state and the pro-business environment.
Interesting.
Now, Texas has been doing that. There's no state tax. They've been helping with tax write-offs for corporations, which is why they've been moving here en masse. And then, of course, what we're seeing now is a different movement in a different direction from the powers that be that are saying, hey, let's do this. And there was a recent bill passed that they're going to sue social media companies if they feel that they've been censoring people. So what we're seeing a lot in Texas is we're passing a bunch of politically based laws that have very little enforceability, very little impact on the day-to-day. They're just statement laws. It's not going to move the needle anyway in a positive way, because all it's doing is not passing legislation that should be pro-business. And Rise&Shred, we are fiscal conservatives, and we want pro-business environments. What we don't like to see is any policy that makes a CEO make a stand outside of his space. It's just not a good look. It's not a good look that the CEO of Salesforce has to come out and say this. It's not a good look for the state of Texas to force his hand to do this. Right. It's not a good look to be linking your headquarters with a state that's going to begin censoring people because of their social media activities and that sort of thing. So there's a lot going on. And when you look at the report, what we can learn, Josh, is how not to be like California. But the report indicates that the business. The businesses leaving California has been a long time coming, and it's going to continue because it's almost at a point of no return. And that's what we want to be careful of. From a business perspective, you have to be aware well before you get to the point of no return. And I can sit off and I can rattle off. You talk about the contacts in the space. I can rattle off 10s of 20s of companies that saw the point of no return coming and just drove past it, ignoring the realities. And it happens on small scale, happens on a very big scale, but it seems to happen a lot in the mortgage industry.
Eesh, that's interesting. And so before I dive into that almost a little bit more, as a resident of Texas, I mean, as you see this, we had Trent, and we'll put Trent's comment back up here. People who are moving out of California elsewhere are bidding up nearly every transaction. I don't know if that's something that you're seeing.
Put that comment back up.
Yeah.
Trent gets it. I just want to talk about how we have someone watching the show who gets it. Now, that is exactly the point of what we're talking about. Like, people moving out of California are messing it up for everyone else.
Right.
Because they're creating markets that are unsustainable, irrelevant, misrepresented, and it's pushing other people out. And let's not forget that California is the reason Californians are moving out. And pretty soon Texas will be the reason Texas are moving out. So,
do you think there's a population shift in California that is sparking the companies to relocate? Oh, that's a good question, Jonathan Velasquez. Jacob says no.
That is a great question, but the businesses are moving before the people are in this case. That hasn't always been the case, Jonathan. I will say that. That has not always been the case. But right now, with the Great Migration and the ability to work from home, headquarters are able to move because they don't have to move the people with them. So they can move a lot easier now because people can work remotely and it's a lot less disruptive. So it's like Toyota can move into North Texas, right? And they moved from California, if memory serves, right? And they did it in spades, but they moved first. And now there's a bunch of Californians driving around with Toyotas in Plano, Texas, and there's no homes to buy anymore. So it's and again, I want to say that it's a great question because it hasn't always been that way, but that is the way it is now, is that businesses can move their headquarters a lot easier than ever before if the state appears welcome. And Texas did a really, really good job of the state appearing welcome until two things. The ice storm nearly knocked out its entire infrastructure.
That's right.
That was bad. That was really bad.
Not good. Rough times.
And then the second is passing these laws that are not progressive in terms of the thought of what is pro-business, what is pro-housing, what is pro-capitalism. Okay, it is a different political sphere that is not conducive, and in time, it's going to begin to stop that. And hey, look, Texas can't take all the corporations.
Sure.
Right? I wish we were able to send more. I wish Wyoming, which is in that Hoover study that we've been talking about, Wyoming is like the best state for small businesses. It's listed. It's like, who knew? But yet, no one's moving there.
No, I say nobody's moving to Wyoming. I'm right next to Wyoming, being that I'm Utah and Wyoming. Not yet. Keep your eye on Wyoming. We're watching you. All right, Jacob. Hey, first and foremost, all of our incredible Rise&Shred audience. Thank you so much, Trent. Thanks for commenting, Jonathan. Thanks to all you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Oh, see, we got another one.
Great
that
question.
applies. Oh, Crystal Freeler Bobby. That applies to people too. I have seen tons of California people moving to my area because they can work virtually.
Dude, we're learning so much from the viewers and the listeners today are telling us so much that I got to spend another weekend thinking about it. I thought I would get away just spend another weekend, but now I've given three insanely insightful questions and comments.
See, we have the smartest audience. We have the chat. All you guys listening, appreciate you guys. Great comments, Crystal, Jonathan, Trent. I hate to move on because there's so much conversation around this, and there's going to be more in Rise&Shred about this because clearly this is something that is absolutely intriguing all of us. Yeah. But let's talk about. We got to move over to our good friends at HUD. There's a foreclosure flood happening over there. Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. We got our good friend. Oh, got to shout out Adri Boisano. She was here in Utah, past president of CAMP, the California Station of Mortgage Professionals. Talk about the people who left California and are now moving back. That's an interesting one. Audrey, we may need to have you join us on that, being that you are a resident of California. Again, past president of CAMP. We might have to have you on, Audrey. I know, actually, I'll give a little shout out to Audrey and Kevin, past presidents of CAMP. They're working on something behind the scenes. All y'all are going to stay tuned because we're going to have them on the show soon talking about it. But Jacob, foreclosure flood. This is going down. It's happening. Let's talk about this.
So NPR has a great, interesting story today about some research they've done that found that the federal government, in its effort to provide middle to low income homes, has disproportionately put these home buyers into flood prone areas.
That's not good.
It's pretty good. And why were the buyers unsuspected? Because according to this report, the private market does a much better job of saying, hey, you want to buy that home? Great. it's in a flood prone environment. You're going to need to do this. You're going to need to do that. HUD doesn't really disclose that.
Uh-oh.
So, and there's a little bit of what's not understood. So what we're talking about, a flood of foreclosures, that is a play on words.
Yes.
Okay. There's not going to be a surge of foreclosures. That was haha. I hope no one found that too clickbaity, but I don't want to be charged with being clickbaity and a California basher all in one day. But it's if that happens, I have broad shoulders. The other issue is that HUD is pushing to have a lot more affordable homes. And they're pushing to the current administration is trying to do a much better job of providing low to moderate housing. So why does that concern us? Because with these people moving into home buyers improve the communities that they're in. The crime rate gets lower, the communities get better. It provides more investment opportunities for people to go in. Mom and pop landlords, fix and flippers. There's all sorts of nice niche businesses that can benefit from a very vibrant low to moderate income housing program.
Interesting.
Not if floodwaters are going to wipe it out. And that's what I'm saying. So, this is just not the kind of business everyone wants to be in. You don't want to, move into a house and then, get hit with a huge flood insurance bill.
Heck no.
The HUD response to this NPR story was very interesting in that that's where our foreclosures tend to be. So what does that mean? There's a much larger issue here that we can't figure out. We have a problem that we don't have an answer to. We're going to dig into this a little bit more. We're going to come back to it because I don't want to spend too much more time on it. Yeah. But I do think that whenever there is an explosive declaration, such as this NPR piece, that it bears mention. So we're going to have to look for it in tomorrow's Rise and Shred. We'll discuss it a little bit more. I'm going to think a lot more about Californians who left and are coming back. That's a very, very interesting topic. So we'll be revisiting that. But we want to get into with the time remaining. We want to get into our final topic.
Last topic of today is, I know there are no companies out there that ever send mixed messages or mixed signals, right? I mean, big companies, they're always very clear in messaging. They're always concise. Even like our, HUD's Foreclosure Flood. We're always very clear in messaging and titling. We're never out for clickbait. We're never trying to drive traffic at all. But our good friends over at Microsoft they have some mixed messaging, some mixed signals going on, Jacob, right?
Mm-hmm. They are. So here's the thing. Microsoft has come out and said that if you want to work remotely, you may have to get your pay cut. They've come out and said the CEOs of their various divisions and stuff have gone on record to say that, there are benefits to remote work and that it can work and do all that. They've updated Teams. They put these tools in place. They have OneDrive. They have all these virtual tools for working from home. We've had some comments today talking about how people are working remotely. Well, here's the thing, an internal Microsoft study, and I want to be clear that while it's out of the gates and people are reporting it now, it was originally an internal Microsoft study. And none of these reports know that, but I know that because I reviewed it when I was doing a Rise and Shred talk about remote work like a couple months ago, and it wasn't out yet. And I didn't publish it because it was a private study.
Sure.
And, I didn't, I'm not going to expose Microsoft, but they've been exposed. And this study basically says that remote work is a killer of productivity. It's a killer of innovation. It's basically their internal study doesn't really have much similarity to what they're saying otherwise publicly.
Interesting.
So that is the interesting concept is, and we could go a bit deeper into it. Like there's a new study from Deutsche Bank that says you can make it work, but you have to treat your work from home environment like it's a sport, like it's a game that you have to win, like it's a heated drive. And that's how you motivate work from homers to work. But I'll talk about it on tomorrow's Rise and Shred for sure. But this is interesting because this is the first of its kind that we've seen where a large company that sells products admits that its products are not that effective.
Oh, wow. That's a big statement.
That's the result of their own study. and
There
their
you go.
efforts to keep this study internal. I think you could probably speculate on the motivations as to why.
Sure.
But there you have it. So this work from home virtual environment, permanent. I will give you a little bit of spoiler. Deutsche Bank is speculating that work from home will become an issue that will be run by freelancers. So they're indicating that if you want to work remotely, we're going to be a big shift from W-2 to 1099.
99 be contract employees.
Correct.
Very interesting. There's going to be a lot more to come. I think as things continue to progress, as pandemic still looms about, I think there's a lot more conversation about this, Jacob. I think the work from home, I think this discussion is still continuing. So,
well, why do we care W-2 versus 1099? Because that's the paperwork you're going to need when they want to get a mortgage.
I say that's literally why the W-2 versus 1099. If you haven't been 1099 for a certain amount of time, guys, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much more to come with that. Keep your eye on the number one and only daily diary of the mortgage industry. Jacob, you have huge shout out to all of you guys. You have sparked interest. You have sparked thought-provoking conversation here on Rise and Shred today. So we're going to be going deeper into so many of these conversations, and you're not going to want to miss a single day of it. You can get it. Subscribe right now. The link is below. It's super easy. All you need to do is click the link, subscribe to the number one and only daily diary of the mortgage industry. Get it all right here. Ladies and gentlemen, huge shout out to the one and only Mr. Jacob Gaffney hanging out with us this morning and sharing this information. Like I said, him and his team diligently scour and continue to research and find the facts. We're not just throwing out crappy information. We're throwing out the stuff that you need to know. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred this week. Just what a great way to start the week. So go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See you guys. See you, Jacob.